Hello, sluts. So happy to be back. A little delayed video this week. I just had wisdom tooth surgery, so I was healing from that, feeling much better. And as you can see, there has been some changes on the Saint Slut set. I really did love the aesthetic that I was originally going for. It's what I had envisioned when I first came up with the idea for the brand, and unfortunately it has attracted the wrong crowd. Too many of my viewers are men, and this is a platform for women. Um, so it can be a little bit frustrating when it's reaching the wrong audience, and I really want women to see my content. So change the layout. I think this kind of warm glowy vibe is going to be that attract the girlies a little bit more. I know the girls love a lingerie moment, so it's a little unfortunate that more men have been watching the pod than women, but we persist, and I'm gonna find my crowd. But additionally, got some new audio equipment. Really excited about that. I was having too many audio issues in my previous videos, and also this is going to make editing a lot easier for me. Going back to my content being for women, I'm going to make a separate video for my Patreon, more to come on that as well. Just talking about who I really feel like my content is for, and what I feel like Saint Slut serves as a purpose, which I think is to create a community of women where we're just sharing our feelings, sharing our experiences, and talking about it. This absolutely is not a platform to push hate in any form. I don't know how that has been extrapolated from the messages that I've been sharing, which is very anti-violence and my own personal experiences. So if that's hateful to you, then I think that maybe you need to reevaluate yourself. We're now on Patreon. I have two tiers. One was with just additional content, additional episodes. Not sure exactly the frequency I'm going to go with the new episodes, but also raw, uncut footage, some drafts, some voice recordings, and just a much more unedited version of Saint Slut, and then also a tier called Saint Smut, where we get a little bit dirtier. We get down and dirty. So if you're into that, check it out. We're on Patreon at Saint Slut. You should just be able to find me through that. This video, though, I want to talk about confidence, what it means to love yourself as a woman, and the unedited version of yourself, the version that has no filters on, no fillers, and how choosing to love yourself without making any changes as a woman is a true act of rebellion. You know what's funny is I was supposed to hate myself by now. I was raised by women who treated womanhood as a humiliation ritual. Breasts were embarrassing, curves were embarrassing, existing too loudly as a female was embarrassing. And of course, this comes from hundreds of years of oppression where we were told that we must be small, we must be quiet, and that has bled into the generations of women that then raised us. Unfortunately for them, confidence became my superpower. I remember when I first got my period, I was so scared to tell my mom, and my sister ended up laughing at me as if it was something that I was supposed to be ashamed of. And actually, the one person who comforted me was my dad, and who made me feel like it was okay and that my body was changing because it was natural. And it's true, it is natural. I also think it's interesting that I grew up with this idea of women should not feel sexy. We should feel sorry to be women. And on the alternate end of that, my dad is overweight and bald. And my entire life, I have never thought of baldness as a bad thing. I just thought, I think that there's plenty of attractive men who are bald. And it's because my dad never felt ashamed to be bald. My dad kind of, I think he made sort of fun of himself for it, saying, I have more hair on my chest than I do my face. He never took it as a weakness. My dad's not an insecure person, and as a result of that, I never grew up to think of baldness as a bad thing. Equally, if we had women who didn't feel ashamed of who they are, their curves, their cellulite, their wrinkles, whatever it may be, I think that we would equally raise women who don't feel ashamed and who love their bodies and love themselves. And the reference with my dad is exact proof of that. And of course, there are men who grow up to believe that bald is bad and feel insecure when they do lose their hair. But I don't think that men are policed and scrutinized in the same way that women are. I've seen actually from several men in my family that they criticize their daughter as their body changes when they get older, if they get wider hips after giving birth or what have you. I think it's so bizarre because even my grandmother, who's almost 80 years old, still is trying to lose weight and be skinny. Our entire lives, it never stops that we are putting our body under such criticism. I do think that while there are external factors that are telling us to hate ourselves, self-love begins with you. I'm not going to lie to you. I've always been hot. I've always been a good-looking girl, and I've always had a nice figure. And so when I heard other women putting down one another for feeling sexy, for being confident, for wearing the skimpy dress, God forbid, I never related to it. So let her. Why do you have to be angry that she feels good about herself? And those messages that I heard ingrained in everyday dialogue between the women that I was raised around, they so wanted me to hate myself. They wanted me, people that are miserable will drag you down with them. They will do, misery loves company, and that is absolutely true. Nobody wants you to feel good about yourself. They want you to hate yourself, hate your life just as much as they do. So innately to me at a young age, I decided that that's not what I wanted. It was wrong. I loved myself, and that ain't nothing wrong with this body, girl. To choose to love yourself is an act of rebellion. To choose to not be miserable and to not be such a self-loathing person, that is an act of rebellion. You have the choice to love rather than to hate. Don't let the hateful negative people win. Because even if you do not have the same figures that are on the covers of the magazine, there is still something so unique and beautiful about you. Each woman has, and this is what I love about us, is that each one of us has something so unique and so special that we can learn to love. I believe that wearing confidence is the sexiest thing that you can have. I believe that part of feeling beautiful, a part of being beautiful is feeling beautiful. Part of being hot is acting like you're hot. That's what hot girls do. And it's not necessarily about wearing skimpy clothes, but it's about wearing what makes you feel good and what flatters you, you know? Of course, somebody who has a very narrow figure isn't going to look great in the bodycon dress. But you're going to pull off the baby doll dress better than anybody else. Okay? Play to your strengths. And if it's a thing of you feel like you aren't being chosen by men, don't worry about men. Men like us no matter what. In the 90s, we toted the Coke skinny bodies. In the 2010s, it was all about the ass. No matter what, they liked us. They're gonna like us anyways. Men are desperate for women, no matter who we are or what we look like. I think that sometimes we do hold each other to a higher standard than anybody else does, and it's unfair. We hold each other under a microscope, and I'm calling for more solidarity amongst women. There's a lot of women that are straight up haters. In a world full of woman haters, be a girl's girl. In a society where we're being told to put ourselves under a knife in order to be more beautiful, don't do it. Learn to love yourself how you are. Learn what your own strengths are and play to that. Do not change yourself to look more like somebody else. One of my biggest beliefs is individuality, and I will never change myself in order to look like somebody else. Enhance your own beauty features. Don't try to change them so that you can fit a trend, because trends are fleeting. Beauty is forever. It's always going to be the next thing. So if the trend right now is siren eyes, in a few years' time, it's going to be the doe eyes. And what are you going to do? You're going to get a doe eye surgery and siren eye surgery, and you're just going to change your eyes every 10 years. That's ridiculous. Once you start looking for things to change, you're never going to stop. There's always going to be something. You just learn to love yourself as you are, and you'll find the most self-fulfillment. Don't listen to society, ladies. Make the rebellious choice to love yourself as you are, wholeheartedly, undoubtedly. The body is meant to be a home. Make it a sanctuary. Don't be a foreigner in your own vessel. Your body's going to change as the years go on. You can either fight it or you can learn to love it. It's inevitable, though. Even if you take all the Botox in the world, even if you take all the stem cells in the world, it's not going to keep your mind from changing. We're constantly evolving. Fighting the change is fighting the very nature of our existence. Society wants you to feel forced to change. They want you to feel confined. They want you to feel like your body is a cage, so that you're constantly looking for the next diet, the next fad, the next surgery, the next hot clothing item. Choose what you love. Embrace what you love. Embrace your own individuality. That's what makes us unique. Why do you want to look like everybody else so bad? And it comes from insecure people. The insecure people are the ones that are telling you that you need to change. They want you to change so that they can feel like they can survive next to you. They hate to see a woman who's comfortable in their own skin. So be yourself. Please. Please. I love you so much. I love you, sluts. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. As a reminder, we are now on Patreon. You can find us by typing in Saint Slut. You can also text me your thoughts, your confessions at 321-376-7588. If you want to hear more of Saint Slut's thoughts, you can find me on Substack at Saint Slut Pod. I'm also on Instagram at Saint__slut. You can also find me on TikTok at Saint_slut with a V. See you next week. Bye.